If I told you that a billionaire is currently suing one of those powerful tech companies on Earth, you'd probably assume it's a fight over, like, software patents.
Right. Or data privacy or something.
Exactly. Or maybe server infrastructure.
Yeah.
But you would be wrong. It is actually a fight over $80 billion to build a functioning city on Mars.
I mean, it sounds completely absurd on its face, but that is the literal reality of the industry we're looking at today. We are engineering this perfect logic, yet it's entirely funded and directed by, profound, unpredictable, and sometimes downright bizarre human ambition.
Welcome to today's deep dive. Today's Tuesday, May 5, 2026. And our mission for you today is to cut through the massive amount of noise generated by the tech world right now.
And there is a lot of noise.
Oh, so much. We want to deliver a synthesized, clear look at the rapidly maturing, incredibly high-stakes reality of the artificial intelligence industry. We are pulling all of our insights from today's source material, which is Aaron Rose's latest Tech Reader AI Digest.
Yeah, the digest provides a really incredible snapshot of where things stand. Because, we've moved so far beyond theoretical white papers and beta tests. This technology is aggressively reshaping the physical and economic world.
So, here is our roadmap for you today. We are starting in a California courtroom, dissecting a bitter boardroom brawl fueled by literal interplanetary ambitions.
Wild to even say out loud.
Right. From there, we'll follow the thread to Washington, D.C., examining a quiet but massive shift in government oversight that is essentially building a wall around frontier technology before it ever reaches you.
Which is a massive pivot for the industry.
Huge. And finally, we're going to look at the staggering real-world economic impact of all this. Like, what actually happens to the labor market when AI starts doing the heavy lifting of a human workforce?
It is a journey from the very messy human drama of the creators straight to the cold, hard economic reality of the creation itself.
Let's jump straight into that drama. So we were looking at the conclusion of OpenAI President Greg Brockman's testimony in the ongoing trial against Elon Musk.
Right, a very highly anticipated testimony.
Very. And the core of Brockman's testimony is a very firm rebuttal of Musk's narrative. Brockman asserted under oath that OpenAI remains a nonprofit. Crucially, he testified that no commitments were ever made to Musk regarding any changes to the company's corporate structure.
Because the foundational argument here is really about control, right? Control and the founding mission. Musk's legal stance is that the trajectory of the company was fundamentally altered from its open source, nonprofit roots.
Right.
But Brockman is stating, unequivocally, that the nonprofit status was maintained, and that no secret handshakes about corporate restructuring to benefit Musk ever took place behind closed doors.
But the courtroom really lit up when Brockman described a very specific and honestly incredibly weird meeting in August of 2017.
Oh yeah, this was quite a story.
I want to paint this picture for you because it's almost cinematic in how quickly it devolves. So the meeting starts on a genuinely warm note. Musk had recently gifted Teslas to several OpenAI employees.
A nice gesture.
Yeah. And in return, former chief scientist Ilya Sutskever actually painted a portrait of a Tesla as a thank you gift for Musk. Very wholesome.
Just a classic, slightly eccentric Silicon Valley exchange of goodwill.
Exactly.
Oh.
Until the conversation turns to equity and control. According to Brockman, the temperature in the room just instantly drops. Musk grows angry. He flat out says, "I decline."
Wow.
Then Musk stands up and walks toward Brockman so fast, with so much physical aggression, that Brockman testified he genuinely feared he was about to be struck.
I mean, the sheer physical intimidation deployed in a boardroom of that caliber is striking, but it also reveals how deeply personal the stakes had become.
Right, but he doesn't hit him, though. Instead, Musk grabs Sutskever's hand-painted Tesla canvas, storms out of the room, and threatens to withhold all new funding until matters are sorted out to his liking.
It's just a visceral image to consider, like a billionaire storming out with a hand-painted canvas tucked under his arm because he couldn't secure majority control of a nonprofit research lab.
And the reason he wanted that control is where this goes from a standard business dispute to something out of a science fiction novel.
Yeah, this is the crazy part.
Legal analysts are now calling Brockman's explanation of Musk's demands the Mars motivator. Brockman testified that Musk demanded full control because he needed $80 billion to build a city on Mars.
$80 billion.
Yeah. Musk allegedly stated he would be the one to decide when to ever relinquish full control of OpenAI, and that decision would be entirely based on this interplanetary financial need.
It completely reframes the entire premise of the trial. I mean, it takes it from this lofty debate over nonprofit ethics and turns it into a debate of public interest versus one single man's interplanetary ambition.
Exactly.
Musk wasn't looking at OpenAI merely as a research lab. According to this testimony, he was looking at it as an economic engine designed to fund a Martian civilization.
And the numbers flying around this trial are just mind-boggling across the board. While Musk was looking for his $80 billion for Mars, it was confirmed in court that OpenAI plans to spend $50 billion on computing resources in the year 2026 alone.
Just think about the physical infrastructure that requires, the data centers, the power grids, the sheer volume of silicon.
Meanwhile, Musk's damage claim in this lawsuit has ballooned to $150 billion in the latest filings.
The scale of capital is simply unprecedented. You know, traditional megacorporations fight over millions or maybe a few $billion in damages. Here, we're casually tossing around numbers that rival the gross domestic product of entire nations.
All centered on who gets to control the future of non-human intelligence.
Right.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Right.
Because Brockman didn't just play defense on the stand. He went aggressively on the offense. He accused Musk of a massive fiduciary breach.
This was a major pivot in the trial.
Yeah, Brockman testified that while Musk was actively sitting on the OpenAI board, he had OpenAI employees doing secret work on Tesla's self-driving technology.
Wow.
It is like a messy custody battle, where one parent is taking the moral high ground, demanding full custody of the kids for their own safety.
Right.
But then you find out the parent was secretly forcing those same kids to work off the books at their auto shop on the weekends.
That is a very apt way to visualize it. Because fiduciary duty essentially means you're legally obligated to act solely in the best interest of the organization you are serving, not your outside ventures.
And we're seeing the real-world turbulence of this trial spilling out of the courtroom, too. Just this week, James Diet, OpenAI's head of sales, quietly left the company to join Thrive Capital as an operator in residence.
Which is notable.
Right. Executive departures from a key revenue role during the same week your president is testifying in a multi-billion-dollar trial is never a sign of smooth sailing.
What's fascinating here is the absolute legal gravity of Brockman's counterattack. This is far more than tech industry gossip.
Definitely.
The jury now has two simultaneous, directly competing breach of duty arguments to weigh. I mean, Musk is arguing OpenAI breached its founding mission to humanity. Right. But Brockman's offense, accusing Musk of siphoning nonprofit resources, elite talent, and engineering time for his own commercial benefit at Tesla, it directly attacks Musk's entire narrative.
You really did.
If Musk was using a nonprofit board seat to benefit his for-profit car company, his moral high ground crumbles completely from a legal standpoint.
It is a brilliant legal strategy. The jury is going to go into deliberation picturing a man grabbing a painting and storming out because he couldn't extract Mars money from a nonprofit.
It just highlights how personal the foundations of this industry really are.
And you know, it's deeply ironic that Musk and Brockman are fighting tooth and nail for total control over this technology in the California courtroom, because while they're distracted by that lawsuit, officials in Washington, D.C. are quietly making sure neither of them will ever have total control over how these models are released.
Yeah, the era of move fast and break things in Silicon Valley has officially collided with federal oversight.
Let's look at the U.S. Commerce Department Center for AI Standards and Innovation, or ASI. They just made a massive announcement.
They did.
Google DeepMind, Microsoft, and xAI have all signed formal agreements allowing the government to evaluate their AI models before they are ever released to the public.
Which is huge.
Yeah, they're joining OpenAI and Anthropic, who just renegotiated their existing partnerships to align with the current administration's AI action plan. ASI has already completed over 40 evaluations of AI models, and that includes state-of-the-art models that haven't even seen the light of day yet.
This means every single major frontier AI lab is now actively allowing the federal government to look under the hood and test the engine before a product is allowed to ship to consumers.
And the catalyst for why this is accelerating so rapidly right now is terrifying. It all comes back to Anthropic's new model, Mythos.
Right, Mythos changed the game.
Mythos recently demonstrated that frontier AI can autonomously find decades-old zero-day vulnerabilities in critical infrastructure. And for you listening, a zero-day is a flaw in software code that the original creator doesn't know about yet.
There are literally 0 days to fix it.
Exactly. 0 days to fix it before a hacker can exploit it. Usually, finding one takes a team of human cybersecurity experts months of painstaking code review. Mythos just went out and found them autonomously in a fraction of the time.
Which is the very definition of a national security nightmare.
Absolutely.
Think about the mechanics of that. If an AI can autonomously hunt down an unknown vulnerability in a power grid, a water treatment plant, or a global financial system, whoever controls that AI holds an immense, invisible strategic weapon.
Which perfectly explains why the absolute heaviest hitters from the administration are suddenly deeply involved. We're talking about White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, and National Cyber Director Sean Cairncross.
The top brass.
Yeah, they've all taken hands-on roles in the efforts surrounding the fallout of Mythos.
Because they're realizing that this technology is no longer just a software product you download. It is critical infrastructure in and of itself. And it has to be treated with the same security protocols as, like, a nuclear facility.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Aaron Rose refers to this setup in his digest as a de facto regulatory gate. But CSI is doing all of this without any formal law being passed by Congress.
Right, it's voluntary.
I am struggling to understand how this is enforceable. Isn't this kind of like a bouncer checking IDs and frisking people at the door of a club that doesn't technically have a liquor license?
That's a great comparison.
How does an entirely voluntary checkpoint become an undisputed industry standard without a legal mandate?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, you have to look at how institutions are built during times of rapid technological crisis. The institutional plumbing for AI oversight is being built right now out of pure necessity.
Because Congress moves too slowly.
Exactly. Waiting for Congress to debate, draft, and pass a comprehensive AI law could take years. The technology is advancing in weeks. So the executive branch, primarily through the Commerce Department, leverages its massive soft power.
Oh, I see.
They use the promise of future government contracts and procurement budgets to force voluntary compliance.
Basically saying, we won't legally force you to let us test your models, but if you don't, good luck ever getting a lucrative government contract.
That is the subtext, yes.
Oh.
But it creates a deeply complicated, almost contradictory legal web. Take Anthropic, for example.
Okay.
On one hand, they are actively cooperating with KSI, literally helping the Commerce Department set the national standard for safety evaluations. But simultaneously, Anthropic is locked in two ongoing, bitter lawsuits with the Pentagon over whether the Defense Department can legally declare Anthropic a supply chain risk.
Wait. So they are helping one branch of the government build the safety framework, while another branch of the government is trying to legally label them a national security threat.
Welcome to the fractured reality of emerging tech regulation. The left hand is partnering with the company, while the right hand is suing them.
That is wild.
But the broader precedent being set here is what you really need to consider as a consumer. We are moving into a world where the government's eyes see frontier technology long before the public does.
Right.
40 evaluations of unreleased models means the government is essentially deciding what capabilities are safe for you to possess. The checkpoint is there, whether it's formalized by Congress or not.
It's a profound shift in how technology reaches the market. Usually, tech companies ship a product and regulators scramble to clean up the mess years later. Now, the regulators are sitting in the lab before the code is even compiled.
Because the stakes of a mistake with a model like Mythos are simply too high to clean up after the fact. I mean, you cannot unhack a power grid.
No, you definitely can't. And all of this, the billions being fought over in court, the heavy-handed government intervention, it all points to one massive question. Why is so much capital and political power swarming around these models?
It all comes down to what these models are about to do to the global economy.
Let's dive into Palantir's blowout Q1 2026 earnings, because the numbers here are frankly staggering.
They really are.
Palantir reported $1.63 billion in revenue, which is an 85% year-over-year growth. U.S. commercial revenues skyrocketed 133%. But let me stop you there, because the math on their net income, that is what I really need help understanding.
Sure.
Their net income quadrupled to $870.5 million.
Ah.
I'm not a financial analyst, but those numbers don't seem to match up. Usually, if a software company grows its revenue by 85%, their costs absolutely explode because they are hiring an army of salespeople, support staff, and engineers to handle that growth.
Right, that's the traditional model.
How are they quadrupling profit while growing that fast?
You have just hit on the most important mechanism in the tech industry today. Traditionally, as you said, software growth is linear. More revenue requires more human headcount. But Palantir has decoupled growth from human labor. The metric that explains your confusion, and the metric sending shockwaves through the industry, is their revenue per employee. It has hit $1.5 million annually.
Let's put that into perspective for everyone listening. For every single employee that works at Palantir, they are generating $1.5 million in revenue.
Per person.
Think about the average desk job or corporate department. How many people does it take an average company to generate $1.5 million? Palantir is doing it with one human because artificial intelligence is doing the work of the other 10.
And this isn't isolated to just Palantir. If you look at the quick hits section of Aaron's Digest, you see this trend happening everywhere.
Yeah, we see Anthropic just released 10 pre-configured AI agents specifically designed for the financial sector.
Agents, not just chatbots.
Right, and we need to clarify what an agent is because this isn't just a chatbot answering questions anymore. An agent has agency. You give it a goal, like perform a background check on this new client, and the agent autonomously clicks through databases, compiles the financial history, formats a report, and emails it to the boss without a human ever prompting it along the way.
Anthropic is using these to completely automate typical investment banking workflows.
And then you look at Coinbase. CEO Brian Armstrong just announced a 14% headcount reduction. That is about 700 workers fired.
Massive cut.
But he didn't cite a market downturn or a loss of revenue. He explicitly stated he was firing them because AI acceleration allows his remaining engineers to do in a single day what previously took them weeks to accomplish.
This is exactly what Aaron Rose defines in the digest as the CapEx human swap.
So what does this all mean? We hear buzzwords like operating leverage and agentic AI thrown around boardrooms constantly.
Yes.
But when a CEO flat out admits they are firing 700 people simply because AI makes humans too fast, are we literally just watching the entire tech sector trade their employee payroll budgets for server racks?
This raises an important question about the fundamental nature of what a company even is moving forward. Let's look at a quote from Palantir's CEO, Alex Karp, regarding those earnings. He stated that their financial results dwarf the performance of essentially every software company in history at this scale.
And Alex Karp is not really known for his understatement, but Aaron Rose pointed out that the cold, hard numbers actually support his claim here.
The numbers absolutely support it. CapEx stands for capital expenditure, the money a company spends on physical assets like buying servers and compute power.
Okay.
The CapEx human swap is the mechanical process of taking the budget you used to spend on salaries, health insurance, and 401k matches, and instead using it to buy massive amounts of compute.
Ah, I see.
You buy the server and the AI agent once, and it works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, without needing sleep, without taking vacations, and without asking for a raise. Palantir isn't just a blueprint for how to do this anymore. They are the scorecard. They have proven the financial viability of swapping human labor for AI agents at an enterprise scale.
It is the equivalent of a massive manufacturing factory firing its entire assembly line of workers, not to save money on wages, but because the executives figured out how to plug the actual factory building directly into the power grid, and the building just autonomously builds the cars itself.
That is a perfect way to visualize the operating leverage we are seeing. So when we look back at the beginning of this deep dive and we see OpenAI planning to spend $50 billion on compute in 2026 alone,
Right.
they aren't just doing theoretical research, they are actively building the infrastructure required to sell that human replacement capability to every single corporation on Earth. $1.5 million of revenue per employee at Palantir is the benchmark that companies like OpenAI and Anthropic are desperately chasing. The race is about who can deploy these autonomous agents the fastest, because the profit margins are unlike anything the corporate world has ever seen.
Oh, let's take a breath and recap the journey we've been on today, because we have covered incredible ground.
We really have.
We started with the deeply messy human drama of a torn painting and Elon Musk's $80 billion ambition to build a city on Mars. And that showed how personal grievances drive multi-billion-dollar lawsuits.
Right.
From there, we looked at how Washington, D.C. is responding to the sheer power of models like Mythos, setting up shadow regulations and acting as a de facto bouncer for frontier AI, because these systems can now autonomously hunt down vulnerabilities in critical infrastructure.
Very high stakes.
And finally, we arrived at the highly profitable reality of why this is all happening in the first place: the CapEx human swap. AI is generating unprecedented economic leverage by replacing human payroll with server racks.
And as you process all of this information, I want to leave you with one final structural thought to mull over. We have spent this time talking about how agentic AI is allowing companies to replace human labor with compute, generating massive returns per employee.
Right.
But if these AI agents are already successfully automating complex investment banking workflows, managing data, and executing corporate strategy, what happens to the corporate structure when those AI agents eventually learn to manage the capital allocations themselves?
Oh, wow. I hadn't even thought of that.
Think about the mechanics of it. What happens when the AI becomes capable enough to entirely cut out the very human executives who are currently fighting so bitterly in court over their ownership and control?
So the billionaires fighting over the cold, hard logic of the machines might eventually find themselves optimized right out of the equation.
Exactly.
We started today talking about the messy human emotion driving the servers. But maybe the servers get the last laugh after all.
It is a profound shift in how we value human contribution at every level of the economy.
Incredible stuff. Well, that is a wrap on our analysis of Aaron Rose's Tech Reader Digest for today. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Stay curious, keep questioning the world around you, and we will see you next time.